Okay, folks, this is kind of part two of what I'm talking about. I'm going to open up this subject to some other stuff that I've experienced in life as well. That have to do with this whole thing. Uh, yeah, again, on some level, it's just different than people you know in real life. It's just everything's different, man. When you're talking about online communication, it's online. It's online, and it's never gonna be as clear, and it's often not clear anyway in real life. So how could it be any clearer online? You know, when I was at BYU, by the way, I remember getting way too much into these chats and things that were, yeah, I don't know, chat rooms, but different kinds of subjects. I don't know. There's a lot of arrogance, of course, at BYU. We kind of, those of us that are aware of BYU, we whether we like it or hate it or mixed feelings, there's a lot of arrogance in colleges in general, but there's a lot of, oh my gosh, some form of I'm very familiar with the concept of people feeling like these prissy Christians or Mormons or whatever, conservative, whatever, are being very arrogant or dismissive or judgmental. This is very familiar to me. This is a very familiar concept in general, and I'm not completely immune to this feeling as well. I know very keenly what's going on here with this whole thing, and so you get some of that because on my end, and when I was younger and I was a little bit moody at times when I was doing these more of these discussion groups, I call it discussion groups and things. And oh man, yeah, what I basically did was ream people out big time that were mm, hmm. Well, some folks knew that I meant well, but I was I could be very brutal in how I said some things to some people that just weren't very, what's the right word? Intelligent? Yeah, I was really very sharp. No, that's not the word not the word I want to use. I was very, I didn't have very much patience for people that were just, I saw them as being kind of like idiots. I didn't have a lot of patience, in my opinion, for what I saw as idiocy. And on top of idiocy, I didn't, and the whole thing is different than disagreeing with somebody's religious, well, that's a different deal. Most people at BYU are Mormon. That's a different deal than disagreeing with somebody's politics or disagreeing with somebody's opinions. If someone's an idiot, they're just not as capable of having as high level in a way of conversation. And anyway, I was much less patient at some point. I was very in real life. I probably would have been more patient with people, but on these discussion groups, no patience. And apparently, I hurt this girl's feelings I didn't even know, like traumatically so. I was very apologetic, but never met her in real life. So you have those sensitive souls that just don't know how to say things. And this is one of the reasons why YouTube and other sites, and Twitch included, drives away people that are very sensitive. Just drives them away. It shouldn't be that way at all. And people that are YouTube and Twitch creators, channel owners, many of them, I imagine, would want to talk more with nicer folks that are sometimes more sensitive. I would think that they would want those people to be involved in their channel because everybody's a little different. But some channels, it depends on the channel owner, right? But, every channel's a little different. But I would think that nicer, kinder people would be people that people would want that, again, to be involved in their chats. It just all depends on the person's personality. But yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people are being driven away from social media because why? Because of all kinds of reasons. But if there's a lot of bullying going on, this is one of the things that, apparently so I went online, I looked at, what YouTube and Twitch moderators were supposed to do. Oh, bullying. Oh, harassment. Oh. It's pretty clear what bullying and harassment are. Now, there are people that are just upset. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But being upset and being angry about something is a very different matter than being a bully or being a troll. Yes. Yes. But you can definitely misunderstand somebody online. Oh, absolutely. That's why, for being a moderator, moderators simply must exercise some very serious self-control. They have to be among the most insightful of all of humanity if they want to be good moderators. And by insightful, I mean always reading between the lines of what everybody's saying. Always, without fail. And if they're quite literally, if they're very literal people, and they are just very literal about what is going to fly and what isn't, they're not going to be good moderators. When I was a salesperson, I simply could not interact with people in a manner where one sale was very different than another sale, right? Every sale I made when I worked at a music store, every person I talked to and met were completely different. I had to, and this was real life. So I was able to look at the person, see their expressions, hear their tone of voice, all that stuff. I don't need to tell you generalizations of certain kinds of people, but obviously if we're talking about somebody who's got tattoos all over their arms and they have big hairy chest, they're wearing a black leather jacket, a middle-aged man whose forearms are as big as my leg, and he smells like cigarette smoke. And he's talking about classic rock. Are you really going to talk to this person about Vivaldi, Mozart, and come see our violins or something? No. He's in the guitar section. He's jamming out to. You see what I mean, right? Anybody with a moderately high level, even a moderate level of social insight, would know. Oh, this person is that kind of. He's looking for this kind of stuff at a music store. Depends on the music store, right? I am not going to talk to. I know I'm reaching for generalizations, but this is something that'll help me out here. I am not going to come up to some petite old Asian lady. I know. She doesn't have to be Asian. Leave the ethnicity out. Some petite old lady. She could be white. She could be Mexican. She could be black for all I know. A petite old lady who has a very soft voice. Right? She smells like roses or violets. And she's like kind of a little shy. She's just, getting something as a Christmas present for her grandson. And she's looking at the music through the music, the books in the music store. Are you going to come up to her in a loud voice and say, "Hey, how can I help you?" "Oh, yeah, No, you're going to be like very considerate and very sweet. And you're, just probably not going to be into rap or hard rock. You never know. It's for a grandson, so maybe the grandson might be interested in that music. But there's all these things you just need to observe, and you just need to, these are good things to learn about, and get better at in life, which I did, to the extent that my psyche could allow. So let's get back to online stuff here for a bit. And all my other experiences with everything regarding all the subject. I'm going to be pacing around here. This is a different room than my other room at my own place, other place. Of course. Picture that my mom made, by the way. Trees, I don't know if you can see very well. Mountain. Window outside. University Place, Washington. Okay. I don't. I get it. Being a moderator is not easy. But if they're not paid, you're probably not going to have always the most insightful of moderators. But as we mentioned before, um, humor. Humor is very different from person to person. Uh, Especially we're talking about, look, you look at one George Carlin stand-up, and believe me, he has quite a few stand-up bits that are quite clean. He has one about time. Do we really know what time it is? You can watch that whole time bit. This is back from the 70s. He has bell bottoms and stuff on. You could show that to, Tom, Russell Nelson, Dallin H. Oaks, and Russell Ballard, Jeffrey R. Holland. All those guys. They would probably be okay with that. There's a lot of other George Carlin that probably wouldn't care for. Sure, no. But yeah, that one would fly. That would be okay. I know what stuff is moral and what's immoral. No moderator, nobody in their right minds would be able to tell me something I wouldn't know about morality. I'm a freaking member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, by the way. So that's a joke. Anything that, no. And then, the moderator is not in a position to be a moral dictator at all. And it's almost kind of silly thinking of, if any of them see themselves that way, they need to get a reality check really quick. I mean, really quick. Being a moderator has nothing to do. Oh man, it's just. For all I know, this moderator is like 21 years old. I don't know. Basically, it's just still a kid. But regardless of maturity, age, experience, insight, all this stuff, I would think that just like getting to know a person's channel or a person's personality, moderators ought to get to know people commenting on a channel to some extent before taking any actions. Why? Because of the nature of online communication. It's the nature of our own. It's the nature of our language. It's the nature of understanding what someone is saying online. It's the nature of. It's the whole beast. It was hard enough trying to understand when women were interested in me and when they weren't, or when they were kind of semi-interested. It's still not easy at all. So that was real life. How could it be any easier if it was online with a chick? It is definitely not easy. So when we're talking about something as inconsequential as a live chat with people that you don't know, you would think that most people would be more inclined to just think or say to themselves, let's see where this goes. I have no idea what's going on with this person. This person's obviously not saying the F word, the 4-letter F word. They're obviously not talking about very explicit sexual acts, right? They're behaving themselves. They're also not harassing other people. Well, just maybe, I'm going to just see what else this person says before I'm going to do anything. I would think that a moderator would have the good sense to act that way. I don't know what other people's experiences are like with moderators. I really don't. I imagine that a lot of people on live chats are probably south of 40 years old, of course, or even 30. and probably north of hopefully 15 or 16. I don't know. I have no clue about these things sometimes. You never know. You could have a 12-year-old posing as a 18-year-old, and that happens all the time. I just, you guys tell me. But you would think, so most people on live chats are somewhere in that range. You never know. You had some 60-year-olds. Who knows? Anybody can go on a live chat if they want to. It's old enough to be on a live chat. But you can, most of the time you would think that younger people would, just say stupid things and get, timed out or whatever. Most of the time you think it would be younger people. Just say dumb stuff. Especially, I don't know if you want to think, it's not just young men or boys, but I would think that probably more than half are probably dudes. Because, yep, blame that on testosterone, blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. But, um, if you just want to kind of not deal with the riffraff or deal with riffraffy things, I can understand that. But what do you do so that you have people that are actually great people that could, comment, be involved in your channel, give the, end up giving some money to the creator of the channel. What do you do to encourage those kinds of people to stay in your channel? And what can you do? What can moderators do to not be buttheads and drive people away from someone's channel? um, and how do you know who's who and what people are going to do? Well, you don't. The only thing you can do is read between lines. Check out someone's channel. If obviously if something is really, really, really truly distasteful, really, truly distasteful. It's not even a movie quote, right? Oh my gosh. I'm not talking about X-rated movie quotes, folks. I'm talking about freaking PG-13 stuff. Whatever. It boggles my mind, man. It boggles my mind. It's a power trip. It's got to be a power trip for these moderators. Again, I'm only speaking from limited experience. I haven't really been on all that many live chats. Now, here's the other thing, too. I'm very new to Twitch. I don't know how Twitch works. I think they use bits, that sort of thing. There's always a possibility of doing things on Twitch myself, but I'm quite comfortable with YouTube, as you can tell. At least comfortable enough. There's a certain level of comfort. Yeah, and that comfort could definitely fly out the window because of YouTube's. Oh, if you guys have been remember the the government thing and the that whole deal, and YouTube trying to blame creators and that you guys remember all that jazz, and nothing really has come of it that I know of. We just had to change a few things about how it was run and what's for kids and what's not. That's all it came to, really. Nobody got fined. I don't know how much money, but 51. I don't know. I remember what it was. It was some gargantuan fine if they were going to be in violation of it. The guy, was so serious when he was saying this stuff. People in government had no clue. Anyway. Other than, but aside from that, YouTube has been pretty nice to me, I would think. But as the lawyer mentioned, they could take away my email, they could take away my everything because it's all free service provided by YouTube, and all their stuff is who reads the fine print in this stuff. So we're all looking for other stuff, we're all kind of exploring things all the time. So again, I'm very new to Twitch. I don't know how it all works. Um, imagine there's probably a certain number of people I've already subscribed to on YouTube, beyond the two that I'm subscribed to on Twitch that are also on Twitch. I have no interest in really getting involved in all the other social media things that I don't really care for as much. But there's another YouTuber that I'm subscribed to. I've been watching his stuff quite a bit, but much more consistently over the last year, and yeah, over a year, easily over a year. And but he's on Instagram. He's on some other stuff. Sells a lot of T-shirts. This guy, other guy I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm so cryptic. I just feel like sometimes that's the best way of being. But a lot of people do this, selling merchandise stuff. Well, one of these days I might do that. You never know. Sure. I just have to keep getting more popular, I suppose. I don't know. But, sometimes you guys can say I beat around the bush a lot. Um, but everything I say has a purpose and a reason. Everything before I get to the crux of something. And of course, you can always fast forward things, but then you'll miss some stuff. The thing about Twitch is my overall feeling about it is that it's set up a little bit different financially. So it may be very appealing to certain sorts of people that are content providers. And it's a financial thing. The more that somebody relies on something as a source of income, the more that this very subject becomes very important, right? I get that. I don't know. I certainly don't know all the ins and outs of how they're different, YouTube versus Twitch, but it's pretty obvious to me, right? And there's I don't follow me on. You hear this? Follow me on Patreon. Follow me on wherever. You hear this thing at the very end of a lot of videos. Uh, YouTube is not a great way of making money. It just, no. I mean, and they've changed their business model. There's a lot of people looking at making more money on these other platforms, which I honestly don't. I mean, I feel like there's all these things to learn. I only know a little bit, if anything, about this stuff. But I know enough to know that there's still a lot that I need to learn. And Twitch is one of these newer channels, or newer platforms, right? That I'm still not really sure what's going on with it. Um, Definitely seems to have a lot of video game. Video game thing is a big deal on Twitch. Video gamers. But as you guys know, there's a whole lot of different kinds of video gamers. And whenever I talk about video games myself, you guys know precisely, I think, at this point, if you've been watching a lot of my stuff, what sorts of games I like. Maybe you might not know that I played a lot of SimCity when I was younger, but maybe you would. And maybe you know that Asperger's syndrome is connected with a lot of very detail-oriented types of things, whether or not it's science-oriented or math or architecture or urban design or music or art or whatever it is. We tend to do things with an extremely high level of focus and attention to detail in some form or other. We're very fastidious about color, lining up colors when you're younger and that sort of thing. This is Asperger's, absolutely. But you guys know what kinds of video games I enjoy if you've been watching my stuff for a while. But fantasy adventure is basically number one. But you also know I like the scary stuff. You also know I like design stuff a little bit, maybe too. The SimCity stuff, right? The roller coaster tycoon stuff. I've mentioned that stuff a little bit before. You also know that I've done some point and click adventure stuff. I've also done a lot of RPG, first person shooters or third person, whatever, isometric or whatever. These different kinds of engines or setups or, whatever. And that's all like video game side of me. It's all it's basically hobbies and stuff. I don't know if you want to call it a serious hobby. It's very off and on. And I'm generally very disappointed with a lot of gaming in general, as you can probably tell from the times that I've had videos about Steam, and actually, was sometimes more forgiving about some some previews of some games, but there's a lot of very cheap crap out there. And that's truly what it is. I don't know, man. Some of the stuff probably took a lot of work. Whenever you make a video game, it takes a ton of work, but it's not crap. If there's sincerity and sincere hearts and sincere desires that went into making something, okay, great, awesome. I'm sure it's fine. But there really is, for every bigger budget, video game, there are millions and millions and millions of smaller budget games. Now it's like we have an oversaturation of it. So it must be hard to these smaller companies, indie video game. It's kind of a similar deal with movies and music. Somewhat. Music is a little different. Maybe, I don't know. Anytime you're talking about a smaller company, an individual, or a few people making something, a movie or a game, it's brutal. It's hard. I get it. I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not a billionaire. Okay, right. It's just, this is all. I might make a part 3, folks. I mean, this is a deep subject on some level. It's just that, these trains of thought. Yeah. So I was going to talk about Twitch, really. I was trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. And I'm trying to, if you're not when you go on a new platform, I mean, who actually takes the time to read through all of the, expectations for your behavior? There was a really quick summary when I started on a live chat on Twitch today. I mean, we're talking quick. There was no exhaustive list of things you could or couldn't say. That would be, who wants to read through all that? But if it was provided, then, that would be a good thing. Because if somebody truly didn't want to be in timeout or banned just because they use certain words, they could read through that list, write it down. But if we're talking about thousands of words, probably not. You don't want to write it down, but at least read through it and be like, have a pretty good understanding, general gist of what. And if it was something, I don't know if it's something, it probably would be something that's very studio oriented. Creators are yes for some words, no for other words. But creators don't always take things. It's like they cannot always account for every single context of every single word. So there are limitations to that whole thing. And then you don't know if there are moderators that are bots, that are not real people. This was not the case in this case, I would imagine. But I have no way of knowing yet. There was no name for the moderator. It wasn't like the moderator was even chatting, to my knowledge. These are just things that everybody ought to understand better. There ought to be, because apparently that's just how a lot of people like to socialize. I'm not saying I'm not saying any different, right? I'm just saying it's just better in real life. Always, everything you do socially, of course, obviously, it's an obvious statement, but you'd think that because of the nature of what's involved with live chats, whether it's YouTube or Twitch or something else, you would think that people would think through this sort of thing a little bit more in depth. You'd think that they would account for a lot of these things. You would think that people wouldn't want to drive people away from their channel. Why would I want to drive people away from my channel? The only time I would drive someone away from my channel is if I said something very sincerely, no mistaking what I meant. They heard my tone of voice, right? Or I talked to someone directly and I really offended somebody, or I really rubbed them the wrong way and left my channel. I don't expect that person to come back to my channel. Most people are not going to do that. You never know, some people would. But other than something like that, Which again, I try to be a very real life. I try to make things very real for you guys. I don't want to have you guys always guessing because I hate doing that myself. I really do. I understand though that some people just don't get it. I understand that. You know, I do. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect person. All right, I have made mistakes. Probably will make. I will definitely make more mistakes in the future. But that's the only kind of situation where I can see somebody really leaving my channel, other than they're just bored with it. Either they're bored or they're offended. One of the two. Bored or offended. And by bored, I'm also including someone just didn't think that someone thought my channel would be a certain way, and it turned out that it wasn't. And this is, my channel is, again, I've mentioned this before, my channel is very specifically, I have to wrap this up, my channel is very specifically about me. It's not about my interests. If I make an interest-based channel, like something just about music, then I'll do that at some point. But this channel is about me. My own thoughts about stuff. Period. That's it. So it's like if somebody leaves my channel, it's hard not to take it personally because I'm like, oh, they don't like me. But, you know, some people, it's just, everybody's different. And a lot of people just, to be honest, probably don't know me that well. They probably haven't seen too many of my videos. That's okay. I don't force anybody. This is all up, it's completely up to you guys. What you guys want to see and they're like, I got other stuff I gotta do. That's how we all are. I'll make a part 3. This is a meaty subject, I think. But just to wrap this train of thought up, why does Twitch have to be the way? Why does YouTube have to be? Why do all these platforms have to be so cryptic? You know, Twitter is. I have no interest in Twitter at all. Instagram, no. Facebook, no, not really. It's just nice to have a place where you have a bunch of people that you can look up and yeah, okay. It's basically it's like a phone book. Facebook is a phone book. It's just a phone book for long distance stuff. It's basically what it is. It's like a little black book, but it's just online. Okay, making part 3 here in just a bit. You guys take care. Talk to you soon. Now leave me thoughts and comments below. See you in a bit.